This is Felt Recoil.
All right, welcome to the Felt Recoil podcast. This is episode number 63. My name is Kris, and across from me, back fresh from Vegas.
Yeah, man.
How are you, Patrick Hulon?
I'm doing good.
Feeling better?
I have finally recovered, yes.
Okay. I want you to decompress your SHOT Show experience with us here in just a second. But first, I'm going to say glad you're here. And don't forget, our shop is open now at feltrecoilshow.com/shop. So grab a pint glass or some stickers and show some love for the show. And in return, you will have some cool gear, and we'll pass along the love to the charities we support as people and as a show. Specifically, this week, we are highlighting the GoFundMe page for Becky Vaughn. She needs a new van, and let me tell you a little bit about her. Becky Vaughn is part of the family whose father pastored the church I grew up in. She was severely burned in a house fire in 1978, along with her mother, when she was just 2 years old. So her injuries were life-threatening and required years of surgeries and treatments to repair the damage. She's now a very accomplished young lady. She's won the respect and admiration of anybody that knows her. She is a vital part of the founding of a school here in Greenville, South Carolina called Hidden Treasure Christian School. And that was started by the Vaughn family after the fire. So the fire severely burned Becky. Her mother was burned badly as well. Her mother actually passed away a few years ago. I was friends with her older and younger brother. So her younger brother, Joe, is now a pastor out in California. On and on I could go about how great this family is, but really the crux of the matter is Becky was severely injured. Her mother was injured as well. Her mother contracted a strain of hepatitis during the blood transfusions in her treatments. Becky is wheelchair bound and needs a lot of extensive equipment inside of a vehicle to get around. And she goes around and ministers to families that have these tragedies happen because they founded the school on the idea that we will help people like our daughter is now get the best quality education possible. So they started Hidden Treasure. She still works with her dad as far as I know, but they're very, very good people. Like if you want to meet the greatest man alive today, you hunt down and meet John Vaughn. That's just the way it is. It's just a really humble. You know how you had those people in your lives growing up and you would be with them and you could just tell there was something great about them. There was like an aura to them. Sure. You also had those people that you were just like, this person's a terrible person. And you still meet those people.
I still sit across from them every week.
Every week. Here you are. Pastor Vaughn was always the opposite. You would sit with him, you would talk with him, and he just oozes grace and kindness and just a really nice guy. So get this, Becky needs a new van. It costs $90,000 to get a van that will accommodate Becky's needs specifically. Wow. So they've set up a GoFundMe page. She's been driving. They're not buying a new van every year. They're not on a 3-year lease. They're buying the first van they've bought in a very, very long time. So they need some help. And I've helped them financially as I can. And as I've told you here, I won't ever mention a GoFundMe page that I haven't donated to personally. I want you to know that. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just trying to tell you I wouldn't ask you to do something I'm not willing to do myself, okay? So if you'll go to facebook.com/FeltRecoilShow, you'll see the GoFundMe link for Becky's van. And if you would help out, that'd mean a lot to us. It'd also mean a lot to her. And trust me, if anybody deserves help, it is the Vaughn family. Wonderful, wonderful people. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, SHOT Show in Vegas. Now, I didn't say this to you last week when we talked on the phone, but I do think I said it after we hung up. I have heard from specific people, not just like rumor, but people that actually go to SHOT Show every year, that going to SHOT Show for work is quite the miserable experience, actually. It's not the glamour and fun that a guy like me that could run around with a camera and do whatever he wanted to all day is, but it's pretty taxing on a person that goes out there just for work. True or false?
It can be fun. Mm-hmm. So I'll say true and false. And what I mean by that is, and I touched on it in our conversation last week, there's a lot of the guys there that, because it's an industry event, you feel like you should be dealing with people that understand the product and know what they're dealing with. but instead you have really stupid questions. So that's if you're working the booth side. And I think those are the guys that really hate it because they're the guys that are dealing with, Bubba from Kentuckyville, and he's wearing jeans, bloused into his, tan combat boots with his multicam shirt on as he wheels a rolly cart full of free hats around because he's too lazy to carry them in a backpack. You see where I'm going with this?
I feel like you're just looking at me and talking about
Well, I am.
right
It's
now.
a sea of people that look like Chris Vermillion.
Dadgummit. Okay.
But there's so many of those guys that working a gun counter it can be rough because you do get a lot of the stupid questions. But imagine that.
Stump the chump.
Right. Imagine that, but times 1,000,000 in terms of volume and stupidity.
Interesting. Now, I thought SHOT was basically industry people and media, right? This isn't something where you get in willy-nilly, as I've experienced firsthand. They will delete your application and lock you out of your account.
If you piss them off, they sure will.
I was surprised how many people I saw over last week. They're like, so like you didn't go to SHOT? I said, no, I didn't go to SHOT. Tried. It didn't happen. But point being, where was I going with that? Oh, yes. So it's surprising to me to hear that there would be any sort of nincompoops in there running around saying stupid things, asking stupid questions. But maybe that's just part and parcel of the gig. Did you come back, ponder your experience, and then go, you know what? Actually, this was kind of cool. I wish I'd have brought that up.
Yeah. So
Product-wise.
we talked after, I think, the second day. So I had another day to get down there and look around and really think about what I saw. And again, I think we live in an age where social media is so prevalent that most of the things that are there, we already knew were going to be there. So SHOT Show 10, 15 years ago this is where we're going to unveil the new hotness. Well, now Instagram's where you unveil it, right? So
Or ARFCON.
Or ARFCOM, right? Depending on what your marketing strategy is. So maybe that plays into why I was so underwhelmed.
Yeah.
Because
No
everything that
expectation.
was cool, I already knew about.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like when they say the president is going to give a speech. And he's expected to talk about, and then they give you all the topics, and then the president comes out the next day and gives a speech, but you already knew what he was going to say because the news already told you what he was going to say.
Yeah, there's no anticipation for it.
I don't need to watch the speech now because you already told me what he was going to say. That's kind of the best way I could give you an analogy for what it felt like.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that there weren't some cool stuff there. There was tons of cool things, right along with tons of junk.
Sure.
So it was kind of like I said before, it was a little bit of a mixed bag.
Got them folding Glocks.
I did, after I talked to you, I did finally get around to seeing some cooler stuff, and I wasn't stuck in little cubes all day. The Scar SC was a highlight for me.
Yeah.
Super cool. Unfortunately, I'm not in the military and I'm not law enforcement, so I will not be able to buy one.
Do you want to take a quick rabbit trail and ask FN? Because we know some of their guys. Listen, why was it you couldn't get a full cup of coffee at the FN booth? Yeah, a little tasting of the Black Rifle coffee.
I didn't want to really get into that.
Shame on you, by the way, but whatever.
Yeah, I knew you'd be upset.
Were you like, hey, where's the guys that make this coffee? And they bring them all over, and you're like, hey, so what do you guys do? Like, what's the cause of your company? And they're like, oh, we support, we're veteran founded, for vets, by vets, brewed by vets, for vets that drink veteran coffee. And you were like, oh, like Starbucks.
And they're all mad, get out.
And then they're like, you're like, do you guys pay for veterans college tuition like Starbucks does? And for the veteran's spouse or child? Do you guys do that like Starbucks does? Do you guys allow employees to choose charities and then match their contributions in kind out of every paycheck like Starbucks does?
I don't think the fine folks in yoga pants that were serving the coffee knew anything about the company.
All right. Great parlay. How many companies are still running gun bunnies? Give me your percentage out of 100%.
If you polled Instagram, you would think 100% because that seems to be like the running joke these days. However, I would say we're under 10%.
Okay, that's good.
Under 10%. So I was expecting the gun bunnies just to be lining the hallways.
Sure.
And there was very little of that.
It's kind of the joke of the industry at this point.
As it should be.
If you follow all the parody accounts, everybody's making fun. And one of the things, I worked a show once with a nice young lady who was a paid model to be there. And I came home and my wife said, well, how was it? And of course, you're there with this young, very attractive woman and you're posting pictures of her. And, because that's what you're doing. That's what I was there to do, was take pictures, post pictures and videos. And
whatever you say, Larry Flint.
Right. And so she's, I'm getting grief from the wife. Oh, yeah, hanging out with that model, all in good nature, fun. And, but I told my wife, I said, I'm not saying this just to appease you. I mean this sincerely. It's incredibly awkward to stand in the booth with the gun bunny and watch the men who are willing to come up with their wives and say, will you sign this picture of you so I can hang it in my room? And the wives always look dejected, like, man, wish that could be me. And then the man, he's like picking the 3 teeth he's got left, because that's the guy in my world that gets the calendar signed. And he says, oh, yeah. So it was strange to me.
As if these people are celebrities, because they're not.
Right. They're just a paid actress, if you will. And to no fault of their own. Like, they're just looking for work. Now, to me, quite frankly, I do find it funny because we're in the middle of the Me Too movement. And here, I wonder if the Me Tooers of the world are angry at the girls who still take money to be sex objects. Like, I do wonder if that's a thing where they go, I don't like that. I think that's bad. You shouldn't take all your clothes off or half your clothes off for a paycheck. But I digress. The point is, I just remember feeling like a key to a proper marriage is to, whether you mean it or not, in the moment, because as you and I have discussed recently, you're looking to get married. We have I have 2 friends that I think of off the top of my head looking to get married very recently, and this is going to be the next topic we talk about a little bit. But I'll just tease it with, no marriage is ever perfect. And my wife could probably tell you that 4 or 5 days out of the week, she doesn't like me all that much. But you still owe it to the partner in the marriage to adore them at all times. Like, man, you really irritate me, but I love you. That's adoration in a sense, right? Like, I adore you. And how can your wife feel that way if you're taking her, A, to a gun show that she probably doesn't want to be at, and then B, over to a booth so you can ogle at some young lady who's half your age and wouldn't look at you more than half a second if she wasn't being paid to do so? It's kind of the Hooters effect. That girl is not really into you, but she's working for tips, so she will be flirtatious as she serves your undercooked.
I got to call and cancel my wing order.
Overpriced wings. Yeah. That you should. So the gun bunny thing is tragic to me in a sense, not to be hugging trees and saying we shouldn't be exploiting women.
But it's dying a slow death. It
very 1980s.
It's very 1980s. And I think it's on its way out. I think there's a few companies that are clinging to it. And maybe it goes back to what I said last week about lack of innovation, that sort of thing. There were some companies out there, several companies that I saw with them that I don't think needed them. They have a cool product. They're a good company. People know who they are.
Because nobody's coming by your booth to see your product if you got some girl standing there in a tight dress. Well, she's a distraction from why you want people in your booth.
Right. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
Sorry. So yeah, it's not really a thing anymore, but it's still a sort of a running joke. I spoke to several women out there that were working booths. One of which comes to mind. She owned the company, and she was an attractive lady dressed in business attire. Though she was wearing a suit,
certainly,
and I think that was 100% so that people would take her seriously, because the girls with their boobs out are not being taken seriously. No one's going up to the girl with the low cut shirt and going, so tell me about the bolt carrier group in this particular rifle, because they don't know the answer. But when a female approaches you and she's well spoken, she's dressed appropriately, and she seems to know her stuff, you can ask that question and you're probably going to get the answer. Mm-hmm. So there's an expectation there that literally you can see a mile away. No pun intended.
Yeah.
So, or maybe pun intended.
Well, and the line in the sand is you're either, this is probably going to sound
Just do it.
This is going to sound weird. Well, the line in the sand is on one side, it's different from being there working and being paid to be there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you're paid to be a pretty face, or you're actually there working because you know the product, you developed something, or you've risen in the ranks of a company, and so you belong in that booth. You're not an accessory. You're an actual vital part of the operation. So it was interesting because I didn't see a lot. I saw a few. I didn't see a lot. Like Griffin, is it Griffin Armament or Griffin Industries? Yep. Are they one and the same?
Griffin Armament I'm familiar with. I don't know about Industries.
Okay.
But yeah.
One or the other, just basically that's all their Instagram is naked chicks holding guns. And I always say you have to take the litmus test of who are you marketing to? Who are you talking to with these things? And you're most likely talking to a guy like myself or yourself who has an established career, has money to spend on these types of items, and who is thumbing through and scrolling through those things with a woman on the couch next to him or in the bed laying next to him, and cannot consume that type of stuff in that environment without causing a problem. So you just don't follow them. You don't go there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I find it all funny. Okay. The FN looked awesome. FNSE, the HK 433. Did you get a chance to see that?
I did.
That looked pretty cool. Larry Vickers had a nice video on that.
It looks pretty cool. I didn't get a lot of info on that because I don't speak German.
Right.
And the people working their booth did.
Yeah, the guy Vickers interviewed was thick German.
Yeah, there's some thick accents in there, and their booth was bustling, so I got to handle it really quickly. It's one of those things where you don't want to be the guy hanging on to it too long.
Sure, yeah.
Because everybody else is waiting to check it out. It felt a little on the heavy side, which is sort of the way HK rifles go as far as I'm concerned. Not overly heavy, but I thought, okay, maybe it's a bit much. And maybe it's just the way it's balanced because it's set up a little bit differently than maybe, say, your standard AR-15. But very cool nonetheless. I never saw a price tag on it, but I'm guessing $1 million. Again, because it's HK.
Yeah,
I really don't know. I have no idea. But I'll be interested to see if it's
probably a $2,000 rifle.
I'm thinking
higher.
I'm thinking just below 3.
Okay, all right.
Because I think it's supposed to be sort of this Scar-esque rifle from HK.
Sure.
Never released a G36 in the United States, so I think this is going to be one that maybe they try to bring into the civilian market so that they can kind of play that. But we really do like you.
But not really. But we kind of do. I was looking on their website. I don't see any MSRP listed that I can find quick enough to worry about it. But that's a sharp-looking rifle, man. I love HK products, to be real honest with you. I'd have one of those for sure. Okay, let's talk weddings. And did I mention last week the invitation I got to the wedding? Did I mention that?
If you did, that was not while we were on the phone.
Okay. I don't think I did. Something really incredible happened this week. I haven't fleshed out the proper order in which to tell this story. I'll tell it to you this way.
Should be good then.
You're about to get married, so don't take this personally. If you guys have discussed this, I don't know if you're going to have this, but just hear me out on something. So we have a friend who shall remain nameless who is getting married. And he asked me if I would mind taking some pictures of his wedding for him. And I do photography, but I don't do wedding photography. And as I've mentioned here before, weddings are not an industry I care to be in because in my experience, 90% of the people involved in any sort of wedding are there for themselves and to prove how awesome they are and how much they know. And they ride the coattails of the bride and they go, this is her special day, so I'll be an ass to you and you have to deal with it because this is the bride's special day and I won't let it be ruined. I have no interest. So,
I think that's right up your alley.
Right.
I think it's going to work out just fine.
All right. I have no interest in dealing with those people. And you might remember, I think I read that girl's message. She sent me on Facebook all angry that time.
Oh, yeah.
We read that here. Okay.
That was a fun day.
That was a good one. So I tell you that to say wedding is not really my thing. I'm not super interested in the wedding business. And so I told our friend, look, man, I'd love to do them. I love taking pictures of people and things. I'm not a wedding photographer, but if it helps you and you want me to do it, glad to lend a hand. I certainly have the equipment. So he calls me this week and he says, hey, I want to let you know that we chose a place. It's going to be awesome. And I want to suggest that you bring your kids. And I said, yeah? And he goes, yeah, absolutely. And so I kind of start chuckling, and I'm like, okay, why are you telling me this? And he goes, oh, listen, so we rented this joint, and they're getting married at this venue. It's really cool. It's in central South Carolina, and essentially what happened was this hoarder built his own little town. If you've ever seen the movie Big Fish, you know how they all end up in that perfect little town? Mm-hmm. It looks like that. It's got a little chapel at the end, and then there's a general store, there's a sheriff's office with a jail, and all sorts of, candy store, cool little stuff, barbershop, blah, blah, blah. And you can go rent the town for a day. And so that's what he's done. He rented this little town from the family that runs it.
Okay.
And he goes, there's going to be tons of kids. It's just going to be a big event. We're going to have a good time. I want you to know that you and your wife you should bring the kids. So I was just really tickled about it because here's what happened recently. And I just find it so odd. And it goes back to my theory of the biggest problem with weddings is that people go into it with the idea that they deserve to be numero uno in everybody's mind at some point. At this point in life, everyone needs to focus on me. Forget those people. Forget those people. Those people can take a hike. Me. Okay? We got invited to both an engagement party, which is apparently a thing now. If you get engaged, you have a party and people are supposed to give you gifts. I'm sure there will be a bridal shower that I won't be invited to. And there's definitely a wedding I'm not going to. And the reason is we were told, don't bring your kids. You're invited. You cannot bring your children. And I about went through the roof. And in fact, I did go through the roof. I didn't shut up about it for about 3 days. Because my first question when I heard, and this is, a distant relative, sort of. But when I was told, so we're invited, but it's all kids free. So what means kids free? Well, yeah, they're saying don't bring kids. Oh, yeah? Are they cashing checks from people that have kids? Because they're not cashing ours. I'll tell you that right now. I'm like, what? Well, yeah. So the thing is this. No. Wait a second. So we're invited, but our kids, so is it just our kids or is it nobody can bring their kids? Nobody can bring their kids. So you're telling me there will be no children at this wedding? Well, there will be the flower girl and there will be the ring bearer. No. It says no kids. Is it a rule or is it a rule just against my kids? Well, no, it's just no kids in general. Okay, so no kids. Right, no kids. Okay, then I'm not going. Because if you think you're going to tell me to get a babysitter so I can come to your wedding and shower you with praise and adoration and monetary donations, absolutely not. But the funny part is this. Had it not been said, we would have gotten a babysitter and gone to the wedding because that's how weddings
this is a
go.
bad time to tell you that we already printed the invites and there's a little asterisk there at the bottom and it says, Kris, don't bring your kids.
I happen to know that these people aren't paying for their own wedding. They're not paying for anything. Well, maybe they're paying for some of it. They're not paying for the whole wedding. I paid and my wife paid for our entire wedding. We paid for nearly everything. The only gift we got that I remember, we got some checks, which was very nice. And then we had a family member allow us to use the beautiful home as the reception area. So it was beautiful backyard space, and we bought kind of those string lights that like the Edison bulb looking stuff. We bought those and hung them up and created this great space. Had music from the 40s playing and kind of made a little dance area, slow dance and stuff. But then we actually went really cheap and asked our mothers to make both of our favorite dishes. And we bought all the ingredients, and our moms cooked all day and then served that to the guests. And so that was kind of our thing was, this is what I love that my mom makes, and this is what she loves that her mom makes. And it happened to be of the same flavor. So we threw it all together and we're having this big meal. So I'm not saying we got by without any help, but what I am saying is we did it all ourselves, and never once was there a conversation of, so let me ask you a question. We going to let people bring their kids to this? Because I hate children. I mean, so that's really what my question is. Is there another way to interpret that invitation? Like, if you say we're going to have a wedding, but nobody bring their kids, isn't that just a way of saying I hate children? Is there another way to take that?
maybe I see it a little differently because I don't have any children.
Lay it on me. I would love to hear the other side.
And I'm not going to defend the argument so much as to say I have been to weddings that were extremely formal.
Yes.
And I think they wanted a formal wedding with all the pomp and circumstance that encumbers that. And so the last thing they wanted was a crying baby in the back row. And so I guess I get that. I don't know that I would want a crying baby.
Right.
Especially if I spent that kind of money.
Right. Sure.
So that would be my only rebuttal, I guess you would say. That's not even really an argument. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing in my mind that I could come up with.
Sure.
That would make me think, yeah, probably not a good idea to have kids here after I spent $100,000 on or whatever on a wedding.
Let's say you do. Let's say you spend $100,000 on your wedding and you say no kids allowed. Are you then allowed to be angry when the people with kids just don't come? Hey, firm handshake. We're still friends and all that, but no, I can't make your wedding.
No, I don't think it works that way. To me, I don't think you can be mad at them.
Right. And that's kind of how it comes across to me is,
well, because think about it.
You're still anticipated to be there.
Especially if you're asking someone to travel. Okay. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's not right around the corner. Maybe it's a city or two over.
Yeah.
And then they're going to buy a gift. They're going to get all dressed up. Then they're going to pay a babysitter. So it becomes a very serious financial burden. Yeah. Right. On you, the patron of this wedding. So yeah, I don't see how the people getting married can be mad at you.
I remember
I'm not going to be mad when you don't show up to mine because it says don't bring kids.
Right.
So we're going to be fine.
You're saying I'm getting invited. You don't have to be nice about it.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's two things.
All for the public.
But so let me make two points. Three really. The biggest party guy you and I know, if I said his name, you would know it. Got married in downtown Greenville. He's probably calmed down a good bit now because he's got an 8 to 5 and a baby girl and a wonderful person.
Hashtag adulting.
Yes, he's a wonderful person. But at the time of his wedding, if you said to me, who knows how to be the life of the party, I'd have picked him.
Yes, sir.
That guy invited us and happily welcomed our kids to his wedding when we showed up with kids in tow and high-fived our kids and came to the reception, was like, make sure y'all get some chicken tenders. We made sure we had plenty of food for everybody and like engaged our children. There was never an inclination from him to not invite children. On the other hand, I once traveled. I was living in Birmingham and got invited to be a groomsman in an old friend's wedding. We were barely friends anymore. I probably haven't spoken to him now in 5 or 6 years. He invited me to come down to his wedding and be a groomsman. And I said, yeah, I could probably do that. Well, he then expected that I would take a couple of days off beforehand and come down. And I said, no, I can't. I'm not going to do that, man. I'm not going to burn vacation days and blah, blah. I said, but I will drive down Friday night after work and I'll be there all day Saturday for the wedding. Well, then his wedding planner gets on the phone with me and gives me an earful about, nope, you got to be here for rehearsal. I said, yeah, I can't make rehearsal. She goes, well, I mean, there's really not an option. I said, yes, there is. I don't come. Okay? Now, here's the other side of the story. In that instance, I was told everything would be paid for. Just get here. You'll be a part of the wedding. And then when I went to get my tux, they were like, yeah, that's going to be $135. And I said, oh, no, I'm pretty sure that was paid for. And they said, oh, no, it wasn't. So I call him. I'm like, hey, man, didn't you say that all of this? Oh, yeah, we weren't able to do that. I'm sorry, man. Okay, so I'm paying for it? Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I thought I made that clear. Yep, sorry. Oh, okay.
Slight misunderstanding.
So $135 to rent the tux. Then I had to pay for a hotel room when I got there. Then I had to travel there and back. And it was about a $400 expense on my end as someone who was single and traveling to go down and be in this guy's wedding. And I just thought, next time, just say no. Like, if it's not a really, really good friend, just say no, because that is way too much money to stand there for 6 minutes and be done with it. Way too much. I've since done it again and had a great experience where I happily traveled for several hours and was a part of a friend's wedding. It's not always a bad experience, but the history of it suggests that everybody tends to get caught up in themselves. I've had both experiences now that I'm thinking about it and talking it out. But here's the other side. Understand that this is part of my wife's family, where my wife's mom is one of, I think, 12 children. And then
Pretty intense.
One of her sisters had 9 kids, and all 9 of those kids have a minimum of 4 children. And I am not exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating. They cannot have family reunions inside of one home.
Much math.
It is outrageous. And this person is in that family and telling all of them they can't bring their kids to the wedding. And so I said, this has just got to be a thumb of the nose to the big family, right? Like, how else do you take it? Like, can't bring kids to my wedding? That's strange in the first place. Why are you getting married if you don't want kids?
Okay, time out. If somebody had that many, I might draw the line and go, I'm not feeding 8,000 people. We don't have loaves and fishes for the masses here. We've got stuffed chicken breasts, okay? I just can't do it.
I am really, really torn. I took it as an insult. Maybe it wasn't meant that way, but I definitely took it as, well, I'll tell you what. If kids can't come, I don't come. And that's fine. I'm sure my wife will go and have a good time. She can tell me all about it.
But I think so. But
I won't be missed either.
You raised a pretty good point there. So, had it not been said,
yeah,
it was a non-issue, right?
Yeah, we'd have done it anyway. Maybe we take our oldest and the 2 younger ones stay with the grandparents. But most likely we'd have just had my mom and dad. Because the kids don't want to go to your wedding.
Right.
I hate to break this to you. They don't want to be there. They are bored by the entire thing. They want to stay home and play Legos and watch TV. No problem. But just don't stick it in my face and be like, yeah, you can't bring your kids. All right, then I'm not going. Easy. Because it comes across, whether you mean it this way or not, it comes across as, I don't like your kids. Even if it's a blanket statement of no kids, it comes across as, I don't like your kids, I don't like those kids, I don't want anything to do with kids. And I go, okay, fine. So, again, probably one of those things that if you don't say it, everybody gets by all right. But man, I was like, what are you talking about? There's 200 kids in that family. But maybe that's why. Maybe that's why. Yeah.
I think we figured it out.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. SIG Sauer is in a mess. They're in a mess.
And we don't mean the 365.
No. We're gonna
real quick side note.
Sure.
I was at the SIG booth, which is a monstrosity. It's gigantic and swarming with people. So much so you really can't walk around in it and look at anything.
Yeah.
So I have not put my hands on the 365 yet. So I said, well, can you show me where that is? They put it way on the outside, so it was easy to get to, which was smart on their part.
Yeah.
And they had one little, I don't know what you would call it, stand there where they had probably 6 of them in a row. So a bunch of people could look at the same gun at the same time. Makes sense. That's the new buzz, right? And the guy from SIG kind of smacks me on the shoulder and goes, yeah, shield killer. And I was like,
you mean cop killer when he drops it?
I was like, right. I mean, I hear what you're saying because it feels pretty good in the hand.
Yeah.
And I'm not a SIG guy.
Right.
But it feels pretty good. Trigger felt pretty good. You got 10+1 capacity, I think. Mm-hmm. So that's awesome. Yeah. And I think that's really what they're referring to is it's essentially the same size as a shield, but you're getting significantly more capacity out of it.
Yeah.
And so he kind of gives me that shoulder slap. Shield killer, huh? And I was like, right, except you guys priced yourself out of the market.
How much is it?
And then it's MSRP $599.
Whoa, no, not a shield killer. Not even close.
And then he just stared at me like, what'd you say to me, boy? And I was like, no, I'm serious. You can buy the first generation shield right now for like $350 on average.
Yeah.
I've seen them
that's a high price,
as low as like $280. So no.
Yep.
No, sir. Absolutely not.
So what you're saying is
cool gun, but they did the typical SIG, and their justification is, well, we managed to get the capacity up from everybody else.
Yeah, that's great.
And we put night sights on it.
What? Well, listen, if you'll go back and listen to episode number 38, P stands for problematic. We kind of outline really the specifics of everything that was wrong with the 320. So I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but I do want to tell you this. Remember, this is the gun SIG claimed was perfect, that it would only fire when you wanted it to fire. And then they offered a quotations voluntary upgrade to anyone who bought one. So the reason I remind you of that is the real problem here is marketing. SIG has a reputation problem that they can solve by getting their marketing people out of the way and delivering a strong message that they understand they've made mistakes and now they're fixing them. From Business Insider, just over a year after the Army selected the 320 for its new XM1718 modular handgun system to replace the Beretta M9, the branch's new sidearm is showing some serious problems, according to a new Department of Defense report released this month. The Pentagon's overview on its gear and tech programs conducted by the Office of the Director of Operational Test and Evaluation and released earlier this month indicated that both the XM17 and 18 pistols demonstrated a series of persistent problems, including accidental discharge, ejecting live rounds, and relatively frequent stoppages when firing ammunition encased in a full metal jacket. Even worse, the report recommends the Army engineers some fixes upon identification of the root cause, which indicates they don't yet know what the source of the problem is. This could be a big problem for the Army, which started fielding the new pistol on November 28th with the 101st Airborne Division at Fort Campbell. As part of its 10-month rollout, the modular handgun system will head downrange with soldiers assigned to the critical 1st Security Force Assistance Brigade when the experimental new battalion deploys to Afghanistan this spring. First of all, can the government stop coming up with such large names for things? You can't even get it all in one breath. My goodness.
That's purely so when it's time to justify the budget, they can say something that sounds important.
The Office of the Director of Operational Test and Evaluation. Who needs all that? Anyway, remember that Glock complained and said to the Government Accountability Office that the Army did improperly failed to complete reliability testing. The complaint was thrown out, but the Government Accountability Office's judgment in June 2017 suggests that the branch ended up selecting SIG due to its relatively lower price point. It now appears the Army is getting what it paid for. Safety defects reported by the Office of the Director of Operational Test and Evaluation have cropped up in the months between the GAO's decision in June. Several videos posted online show all the problems, on and on the article goes. Connecticut Police Department Special Response Team member shot in the leg after he dropped his pistol inside of a level 3 retention holster from Safariland onto the ground. And it fired and hit him in the leg. He's got a $7 million lawsuit pending. They're also being sued by Steyr for patent infringement, and on the list goes. Is this a I hate to say I told you so moment?
You mean on the part of the fine people over at Glock? Or
yeah, sure.
Or are you talking about our podcast specifically?
Everybody who's been screaming about what a bad idea this was.
I think we called it long before a lot of these other folks did. Yeah. So I'm going to say we were at the cusp of that.
So we're the head na-na-na-na-nas?
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha. I feel bad for anybody.
Which is what I've always wanted to be. So I feel like check that one off the bucket list.
Pull out your pad. Let's see here. Head na-na-na-na-na-na. Check mark. I am really angry at SIG as a company because I feel like they did mislead everybody. This is a perfect time to exemplify who you are as a brand and come out, get ahead of it, and say, okay, there is a problem. And although it's about to cost us millions of dollars, SIG stands for perfection and reliability, and we're going to make sure that's the case. So if the Army has an issue with this, we're taking them back. We're going to fix the issue, and we will reissue the handguns when the time comes. But that's not the case. Instead, they lied about it. Remember, SIG said there is no problem. Then they got caught lying about it, and they go, well, that's a harder test than what the government would do. And now the government goes, actually, you can't even pass being shot on the range. It's not like these guys are taking them out in the field, sleeping in mud puddles with them, getting up the next morning. They're finding high failure rates to shoot ball ammo. Okay, so there's something like the Hague Convention where we've agreed to not use, which is so stupid.
I don't know if we ever actually...
No, we did to the Hague, not to Geneva.
Okay, yeah,
there we go. The Hague.
Okay, sorry.
So
I can't keep all my conventions straight.
Right, and why we're a part of them is beyond me. These people took planes and flew them into buildings and killed 3,000 people, and we're holding ourselves to a standard that we won't use a round that's designed to expand upon impact to kill terrorists. absolutely ridiculous. I will kill you by whatever. If I have to take a butter knife to your jugular and riddle you dead as a terrorist, I will be glad to do it and watch you die a slow, painful death, because that's what you deserve, because you're nothing but evil incarnate, and that is not worthy of me handicapping myself in the ways in which I will kill you. I will kill you the way I choose to kill you, because that's what you did to me and my people. Done. End of story. Oh, but we don't want to kill each other with expanding bullets. Too damn bad. I'll kill you with an expanding missile, and then I'll shoot you with an expanding bullet, and then I'll stab you in the face to make sure I got the job done. Okay? Stop it with this garbage.
And then drop a laser-guided bomb on you.
So just blow the whole place up. Once it's nothing but corpses, and we get the innocent people out of the way, boom. Done. Finite. All right. Sig,
I find it funny, though, that we can't use hollow point ammunition.
It's so stupid.
But we have this new ammo that the Army and I think the Marines have adopted recently, and I can't remember what the military designation is for, but it's like a tungsten-tipped bullet. So we've gone beyond regular old steel into a tungsten bullet that will penetrate all kinds of crazy stuff. Totally fine with that, but a hollow point,
we get away with it. We do, by the way, we cite, like, there's a loophole in the sense that we tell them the hollow point is designed to do something different, and its main design is not expansion on impact. That's how we get away with using it. So it's not that we definitely don't use it, but either way, it's a thing.
I just looked it up. It's green, so it's good for the environment, which is nice. Because we all know what makes the grass grow.
Green tip ammo is the best because Obama hated it.
That is true. I had a conversation with a guy about that today. It's M855A1, and it is comprised of, looks like copper and tungsten, and that looks really mean to me. That looks like some scary stuff. But
I like it.
But hollow points are a no-no. So there's that.
Okay. All right, so I hope SIG makes it right, because I really do love SIG products. I love the 226. I hate the 320s. The 365 sounds like it's going to be awesome. I love the 229s. I actually really like SIG 1911s. I love their rifle lines. So I don't hate the SIG product. I'm really tired of the company, though.
Well, you're stupid.
Really tired of the company.
So there's that.
All right, thanks.
I tell you what, no, and I do beat up on SIG, and mostly it's become just this running joke with us. They do make some great products.
To be real clear, it's because the nomenclature confuses you, and you got frustrated about it one time, and so we've
no, that's not true. That's not true.
I thought that's what it was.
No, it's because they used to have, you would have like a 226, and then they made it in like 30 different colors.
Right.
And then we're calling those all different models. Yeah. Which was really stupid. So it's not the nomenclature. I don't understand it. I don't know what their numbering system means. Right. And if someone knows that, I would love for you to explain it to me, because I've asked people at SIG all the way up the chain, from the low guy all the way up to the really high, and none of them can explain it either. They all kind of look at you funny and go, "Well, that's just what it is."
Okay, am I using the word nomenclature incorrectly? Because the devising or choosing of names for things, especially in science or other disciplines, isn't that why you hate them? Is because the way they name things?
Yes, but I'm not. There's the 226 is only one gun, so how can it be different guns?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're saying the same thing in different ways. It's their lack of naming things. Then
there you go.
That kind of frustrates you.
Well, no. Let's back up again. The problem is why does SIG, and they don't do it anymore, because I think somebody finally told them they were idiots. Yeah. Why did they have a shiny, bright blue pistol in a 226?
Don't know.
What collector was going, oh man, that's the one I need. I got all the other ones.
Maybe they hired the guy that got fired for the Kimber Sapphire.
Well, that's kind of what it looked like.
Like, so, old Joe over there's got a head on his shoulders.
They probably had some of whatever it was they sprayed that with left over and sold it to Kimber.
And then the parts that spilled got turned into the 238 rainbows.
Smart. There you go.
All right. This week's vote of the week is me for not understanding what Patrick says when he speaks. And also, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who wants to give another break to illegal alien invaders in the country. According to Fox News, he's going to give Dreamers free public college tuition. Yay. Cuomo tucked a provision, get this, into his $168 billion budget plan that would amend state education law to make undocumented students eligible for the Excelsior Scholarship Program, which covers tuition costs for students from families with incomes up to $125,000. On Tuesday, he said the state would continue providing Medicaid to Dreamers regardless of any federal changes to the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals Program, or DACA. But Republicans in the state Senate said they won't go along with the governor's latest idea. So, Andrew Cuomo, you are our voter of the week. And I want to add this. If you're in a state that's rewarding illegal behavior, all bad things that happen to good people is on your hands. It's on you. You share responsibility for what happens to the people who abide by the law, who are hurt, injured, maimed, or killed by people who are breaking the law, because you're setting the tone and the precedent that illegal activity will not face consequences.
Kris, again, you're doing this thing where you take the VOTA and you're making it real serious.
Oh, sorry about that.
We're kind of getting in the weeds.
Okay.
And I feel like that sort of misses the point.
Oh.
I'm just giving you a hard time. No, but seriously, so if we can do this and we're going to reward illegals with free college.
Yes, sir.
There's tons of people who paid their way and are going to continue to pay off that debt probably forever, who are stand-up people. Mm-hmm. What is the next thing that is illegal right now that will suddenly be, well, we're just not going to worry about that.
Sure.
And then we're just going to, and then not only are we not going to worry about it, we're going to reward that behavior. What do you think the next, I hate to call it a trend, but what do you think the next trend in illegal behavior that no one gives a rip about will be?
Well, so it's drug use. Drug use will be the next thing. And
we're kind of
that's already happening.
We're already headed down that road.
So we're headed down that road. But mainstream drug use, federal level, and then pedophilia. I firmly believe pedophilia will become the thing that they start pushing on you, and say these are people who are wired to feel that way. It's what got Milo Yiannopoulos in so much trouble, because he started talking as if some kids are ready for that. Some kids are ready for relationships at that age. I think he was dead wrong on that. He couldn't have been more wrong. But I think that's the next thing we will face as a society. I think that'll be a real breaking point for us as well. Here's a question for you, Patrick. How many people between the years 2013 and 2016, how many people were killed in school shootings in the United States? All years combined from 2013 to 2016.
200.
Okay. How many people in the first 6 months of 2017 died trying to cross our southern border?
Oh, that's way more than 200.
Tell me.
1,000?
Okay. So you're right, but you're wrong. The answer to the first question, between 2013, and this, by the way, is according to Everytown America, or whatever it's called, okay, the anti-gun group. 2013.
I saw their booth at Shut. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
From 2013 to 2016, 59 people died in school shootings in the United States. 59. But in the first 6 months of 2017, about 225 people died trying to cross the southern border. So there's an exponentially large number of people dying in an attempt to get to New York to get free college education than are dying in American schools from mass shootings. And you tell me that you have the moral high ground because you want people to feel like they should try and come here for a myriad of reasons. They should try and come here for all this free stuff, all the benefits we will provide. But you are killing people nearly well beyond every single day.
Well,
multiple people every single day. And by the way, let me just say real fast, if you don't know what a rape tree is, Google rape tree and look and see that it's a real thing where these women are brutally raped and their underwear are hung from trees as barbaric trophies where these guys brag about what they've done as they guide them across our southern border. You're on the hook for that if you support giving them free things if they can make it. Because now being raped is worth it. Now being raped is worth it because I'll get this on the other side. And now possibly dying is worth it because I'll get this on the other side. It's on you, right?
Maybe.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
The key there.
Yeah. It's on you.
I think it's easy in that instance to blame the gun in the school shootings versus blaming whatever the actual issue is. Is it medication? Is it upbringing and home life, parenting, whatever you want to say? So these people that are dying crossing the border, what are we blaming for that?
Right.
Well, I don't think the answer to me is nothing. It's getting swept under the rug because I don't know how many people are dying. Every time there's a school shooting, even if it's 1 or 2 people that are shot, and I'm not making light of it. I promise you I'm not. But if it's 1 or 2 people that are shot, it's going to be everywhere for 3 days on the news. That's all you're going to hear about. But if 3 or 4 people die crossing the border, what do you hear?
Well, and the paradox, I think it's paradox. The thing about it is what's odd is that when there's a school shooting, the immediate resolution from the left is more laws. But when there's a dead invader, the solution is less laws. So which is it? Do laws prevent the bad things or do they not? Can't have it both ways. You either choose. We can pass a law that will stop the rapes and the deaths at the southern border, or we can't. Or we pass a law that stops wrong.
You can't have it both ways because I saw the State of the Union address last night and I watched the Democrats have it both ways.
How so? Because I didn't watch.
Well, they basically clap when it's convenient. That's the nicest way I could say it.
So strange. What a strange group of people. Okay. That's it for this week in episode number 63. Don't forget to find us online. Thanks for coming, gathering, and reasoning with us. We appreciate it. FeltRecoilShow.com/shop. Grab your gear, support good causes. We'll see you back here next time for number 64 of the Felt Recoil Podcast.